Hello everybody, I'm Dalton and I would like to welcome you back to Daltodity. Today is the very first day of Daltodity's 12 Days of Christmas. Starting today on December 12th and going all the way through December 23rd, we're going to have 12 brand new Christmas videos for you guys to enjoy. There's going to be lots of tutorials, there's going to be some baking and some makeups and some Christmas decor tutorials and a few other Christmas goodies along the way. I'm super excited about this. Everyone always does the 31 days of Halloween and stuff, but what about Christmas? Christmas is the holiday. It is the best holiday. It's my favorite holiday, and that is why I am sharing these 12 brand new videos with you. On the first day of Christmas, Daltodity will teach you how to make a gingerbread house. We're making this gingerbread house completely from scratch, and honestly, it's not as hard as you would think, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you will need to do is acquire all of the ingredients you will need to make the gingerbread cookies. For the recipe we are using, you will need 2 cups granulated sugar, 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 cup Crisco, 3 tablespoons molasses, 4 eggs, 1½ teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons baking soda, 6 cups flour, 1 tablespoon ginger, 1 tablespoon cinnamon, and 1 tablespoon of cloves. Today I will be using a stand mixer, but you can just use regular hand beaters or whatever you got. I'm using a mixer just because it's a little bit easier. Start by adding your Crisco and white sugar into your mixing bowl. Then cream the two together. Once light and fluffy, add in the brown sugar and mix it in as well. Once those 3 are combined, add in 1 egg and mix thoroughly. Then crack another egg in and mix. Egg, mix, egg, mix. After all 4 eggs are thoroughly combined, add in your molasses and all of your spices and baking soda. Then give the whole thing another good mix until it looks a little bit something like this. Once you've done this, it is time to add the flour. Mix the flour in about a cup at a time. It's going to seem like there's way too much flour. I know, it's okay. Just go a cup at a time and mix until the flour is completely mixed into the batter. It's gonna be kind of crumbly. It's okay, I promise it will still work. Now it's time to roll up the dough and cut out all the gingerbread shapes we will need. The thing you do not want to do is to roll your dough out on a countertop and then transfer it over to the cookie sheet. If you do this, you risk breaking it and starting over, so it's much easier if you just put down a piece of parchment paper onto your work surface and roll the cookie dough out onto that. If you're having trouble getting the parchment paper to stay still, you can get a slightly moist rag and put that down, and then the parchment paper on top of that works just like a slip mat, and the parchment paper will stay completely still. Now roll the dough out to about 1/8 of an inch. Then you're just going to take a gingerbread house template. I took mine from Martha Stewart. I will leave a link in the description below where you can print this exact same pattern out, put it down on top of your cookie dough, and then use some sort of very dull knife to trace around it and cut out the shapes. Then once you've done that, peel the excess dough up around that and take the cookie dough on the parchment paper and then place that onto the cookie sheet you're planning to bake it with. Then just go throw those into the oven at 375 for 14 minutes. You're going to want your cookies to be very stiff. Make sure you do not undercook them. It's okay if you cook them a little bit longer. The cookie does rise and spread just a little bit when you bake it. As soon as you take it out of the oven, you're going to get your template again, and very carefully, because it is very hot, you're going to put the template back down on top of it and cut off any edges that spread just a little bit too much. And then you can just eat the little bits of gingerbread that you cut off, and it's really good. Once you've baked all of your walls, go ahead and sit those on some cooling racks and let them sit for several hours or overnight if you can. You want to make sure they cool completely before you assemble it, or else you risk it falling apart. After you've cut out your walls, you're gonna have lots of excess. You could just use the walls and assemble it to be a plain old gingerbread house. I don't think that's very fun. I want mine to look like a cute little cottage in a snowy wood or something like that. So I went ahead and rolled out all the excess cookie dough and cut out a bunch of little circles that I will later use as shingles, as well as a few gingerbread men, trees, and cute little reindeer. Any leftover dough I had that wasn't quite enough to roll out to cut anything out with, I just rolled up into some different shaped balls that I will later use as stones for a stone pathway coming out of the front door. Alright, so you've let your cookies cool completely and you are ready to construct your gingerbread house. Before you get started doing that, you're going to need to make some royal icing to use as cement to keep the walls together. Royal icing is often used to decorate sugar cookies and things like that. I hate it when it is used for those purposes. It is so rock solid and disgusting to eat, but it is perfect when building a gingerbread house because it does dry so hard and it dries fairly fast as well, and so it'll keep all the walls of your gingerbread house completely safe. To make this royal icing, you will need 6 egg whites at room temperature. You will also need 1 2-pound bag of powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon of artificial clear vanilla. It is important that it is clear or else the icing will not turn out white in the end. And then you also need a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Put all of your ingredients into a stand mixer or a regular mixer, whatever you have, and you're going to beat that together for 10 to 15 minutes. You just want to beat it until it is nice and thick and fluffy. And then go ahead and scoop some of that icing into a large piping bag. If you do not have a piping bag, you can use a Ziploc bag or whatever you've got. You just need something you can squeeze it out of. And then just go ahead and set that icing to the side. Now this is where I step it up just a little bit of a notch. I'm going to make some homemade Rice Krispie treats to build up the land around our gingerbread house to make it look like it's been snowed in and there's snow piled up all around it. You don't have to do this, you can just go ahead and skip forward to the regular building a gingerbread house, but if you would like to do this, I threw 6 tablespoons of butter into a large pot, a 16-ounce bag of mini marshmallows, and let that mix together completely. Once it was melted, I dumped in 8 cups of Rice Krispie treats, mix it all together, and now you have your very own homemade Rice Krispie treats. Now it is time to assemble our gingerbread house. You're going to need some sort of base. You can use a plate or a serving platter. I decided to cut a large circle out of foam core that is the same size of this Lazy Susan I have. That way I can rotate around. And then I just covered it in aluminum foil. I then added a layer of Rice Krispie treats to act as the base for the house itself. This is not necessary to keep the house standing or anything like that. I just wanted the house to be slightly elevated above everything around it. I then took the front wall and one of the side walls and positioned them where I liked them. Once I knew where they were going to be, I added icing along the side of the front wall and stuck those two together at a corner. I then added the back wall and then the other side wall. And then I had my boyfriend hold that all together while it dried. It does not take that long to set, really. If you made your icing properly, give it 5 minutes or so and you'll be ready to move on. I then did the same thing, putting the roof sections on, just adding a thin strip of icing, stick the roof on. However, this I did want to let sit a little bit longer to make sure it was completely hard. I think I ended up letting it sit for about an hour or so. And now you have the basic shape of your house. From here you can pretty much do whatever you want. I decided to take those circles I cut out earlier and attach those to the roof. I just put a strip of icing along the bottom and then a layer of circle shingles, another strip of icing, shingles, icing, shingles. You get the point. I then spun it around, put the chimney on the back side. All I did was put the 4 pieces together. I then took a small little squeeze bottle I got from a craft store and filled that up with some of the royal icing and just added some little details around the windows and things. I didn't get too detailed because I didn't want it to look too fancy or anything. I basically just outlined all the windows and gave them little scalloped edges. Same thing with the door. Added some bricks onto the chimney. Then I took the rest of the Rice Krispies and built those up around the sides of the house. making sort of walls like up at the corner where the snow probably would have gathered, and then a little shallow pathway in front of the door going down towards the front of the board that I will later put the rock pathway on. And then I just globbed on a bunch of icing and spread that all around to make it look like the ground was completely covered in snow. I also did the same to the roof, covering up that part at the peak with a bunch of snow all along the edge of the snow. Added some little icicles with the royal icing. And then I took those little round gingerbread stones I made earlier and pushed those in right in front of the door. Then I added on some of the Christmas trees I made earlier. I put a little snow caps on some of the branches and stuff and just stuck those right into the icing in the front yard, and then some of the reindeer. If you want, you can also add in some lights. I found some battery operated LEDs, shoved those in through one of the windows on the side, then just ran it down the side of the house and covered the wire up with snow and hid the battery pack underneath the Lazy Susan I had. And now you are done. You have a cute little gingerbread cottage. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I know I certainly did. Like I said, I love Christmas and I hope all of you do too, because it is the best holiday. Make sure you come back tomorrow for the second day of Christmas, where we will show you how to make these delightfully cute Christmas sugar cookies. And I also have some other cookies available for you. In our Etsy shop, we have these gingerbread men for sale now. They are super adorable, as you can see. You can buy them now at Daltodity.etsy.com. You cannot eat them, but they make perfect ornaments for your Christmas tree or whatever you put ornaments on. Alright guys, thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you again tomorrow with another great video.